Star Wars is back.
Oh,
you thought Star Wars was dead. You told me.
I didn't say that.
You told me.
I didn't.
You said Rebel Noon is Star Wars now, and shut up.
I didn't say. I said shut up, but you're confusing the stuff I said
You
beforehand.
gonna drink that?
I'm thinking. I had a drink on the way
You
here.
can take it with you if you want. You can take it home.
No, that would be weird. This is This is a work drink. This is a here drink?
Yeah.
No, I don't like it.
All right.
It'd be like seeing my teacher out of school if I were to take this drink out of here. I wouldn't like it.
Okay. Well, I'll save it for you. You can have it when you come back.
Man. I don't know, though, because it's been out of the fridge. So now it's an out of the fridge work drink. Or do we put it back in the fridge? It feels. If I put it in the, then I'd be like, well, there's one contaminated drink.
Well, I don't want it. You're manhandling. I'm just going to throw it out.
I guess we could break it on the table.
We could break it.
Let's break it on the table later. Bit of sizzle for later. I'm going to smash this this full bottle of soda on the table.
No sugar soda.
Yeah.
8 calories per bottle.
Wow.
That's how I fit into my long teas.
The happiest drink on earth, it says.
Yeah.
Wow.
See how happy it is when we smash it.
Yeah, that's right.
Mason.
You're in for it, you dog of a drink.
Ahsoka.
That's right. Star Wars is back, as I was saying.
Yeah. What do you think the story was?
Ahsoka's back.
Yep.
And she's got to get a thing. They got to find Grand Admiral Thrawn.
Where is he?
He's in another galaxy, I think.
How'd he get there?
I guess a spaceship?
Some whales took him, you idiot. You just watched it.
Yeah, I did, didn't I? I did, because we watched the Rebels finale.
We watched Rebels finale.
Which was a good refresher for me.
That was good for you. I did you a favor.
Now, the space whales, can the space whales achieve faster flight than like a starship? Is that why he's in another galaxy?
Yeah, they can do intercontinental flight or whatever.
Interesting. And get an intercontinental breakfast while you're there.
Presumably.
And also Ezra Bridger went on the space
He had to go.
Okay.
Where's Ezra?
I think he's back.
Do you think he's... Oh, we've got some theories?
Yeah.
We'll talk about it.
Bearing in mind, I don't know anything about this particular branch of Star Wars.
Glad.
As I mentioned previously, I feel the least qualified. Like even Book of Boba Fett, I'm like, I read some old Boba Fett comics and I remember the old stuff. I could talk about Boba Fett with some authority, but with this, I'm like, I've seen like 2 episodes of this show that came before this. So I'm like, on the one hand, also Ahsoka's back. That's the story.
Yeah.
They're gonna find Thrawn.
They're going to find it.
They're going to get him? Does Ahsoka want to, like, kill him?
Yeah, she wants to cave his head in with a brick.
But isn't it fine that he's in exile?
Yeah, but he's coming back, probably.
But the bad guys want to bring him back. Yeah. Okay.
Because he's probably do a big starship.
Okay, so Ahsoka's probably like, okay, we got to go take a space whale.
Yeah.
We got to hop a space whale.
Yeah. Well, no, because they have to find a map or something.
That's true.
In Star Wars,
there's a map and a ball.
You have to find a map and a ball.
Yeah.
It's the thing that you have to do.
But what I was saying is that what's interesting about this, I think, is that I've seen a lot of people talking about this series so far, the first 2 episodes, on the Twitters and so forth, being like, oh, it's just a, oh, remember this guy? It's just a bunch of just remember this guy or whatever. It's this guy from the whatever. And yes, there was a lot
Clancy Brown.
There was a lot of scenes in these 2 episodes that end in like a dramatic name drop of a character from a previous thing.
Yeah.
But also, maybe if you're a big fan of Rebels, you're like, this is cool.
Well, I think there's if you're a non-Rebels fan, I think this. I don't know, but it probably did a good job of telling you what is happening.
Yes,
because this is basically a recap of things that happened, and those first 2 episodes are setting up for new stuff. Like I didn't really learn anything new here.
Right. Okay.
And I think again, like you said, if you're a Rebels fan, you could be like, "Wow, look at all these people in live action." But for me, it felt like, get on with it.
Right,
I know most of this.
And that's interesting because I found I found the plot quite straightforward, but I found like the lore and the characters a little bit impenetrable in the sense that it was again, it was like, but what if Thrawn? I'm like, I guess I remember Thrawn. But then it's like, but what if Sabine? And I'm like, pink hair? Okay, I get it.
Yeah.
Oh, but what if whatever Mary Elizabeth Winstead's characters, and then she's there.
Yeah.
She's the green lady.
Yeah, she's a green lady. Yeah.
Okay.
What if Chopper?
I quite like Chopper. He was my favorite. He was my favorite. He's in Rebels?
He's in Rebels, yeah.
Okay.
He's rude. I don't like him.
I liked how rude he was. I liked that he was rude and incompetent.
Yeah.
And he's like, there's a moment where they want to place a tracking device on the ship, and he's like, where's the tracking device? You don't know where's the bloody tracking device? And she's like, have you checked under the thing? And he's like, oh yeah. Well, it's still not my fault. Yeah, that's how I assumed. That's what I assumed. He doesn't speak, but that's how I assumed his character was like.
It's weird because he's a droid. He should know that.
Well,
do you think he'd have perfect recall?
No, he's stupid.
Yeah,
he's a stupid droid. But yeah, so like, I feel like, you know, when I was a kid reading comic books, like not un-Star Wars related, but like maybe, you know, Tim Drake became the new Robin.
I remember
Batman and Robin, and so he was my guy, and so like, you know, he started out kind of young and
But he didn't like you, did he?
No, he didn't like me either. But then when I read a comic book now, like a Batman comic book, Tim Drake will be a Robin in there, and it's like, oh, this is cool as hell, because now he's like an experienced Robin, and like Superman will come to him for advice. You know, what's the situation, Robin? What's your assessment or whatever? And I'm like, that's cool as hell. But so my feeling is like if I were to watch Rebels as a teenager, and it's the animated series, and we've got Ahsoka, and she's kind of like young and inexperienced, but she's kind of
Clone Wars, really,
Clone Wars, and like that sort of stuff. And I reckon if I were to watch this series now, and then Ahsoka's there, and she's like throwing her lightsabers into the ground and like spinning them, and then she cuts a hole in the floor, and I'd be like, that's cool as hell.
Yeah, sure.
That's cool. So like, I don't feel qualified to be like, well, it's actually pretty. This is pretty stupid. It's stupid, but it's not for me.
No,
like I feel very much in the sense this feels to me like if we were to come out of like Captain America: Civil War and somebody be like, I don't understand any of these characters. I don't whatever. I'd be like, especially at the time, I would have been like, well, it's not for you.
Yeah,
this particular movie, not for you. It's for the people who.
For Tim Drake fans.
It's for people who watched all the previous stuff and are up to date. It's a saga. It's a continuous saga, and that's sort of how I feel like this. I'm like, I don't feel much for any of these characters, but I'm like, I don't think this is for me. I think this is for people who remember the original stuff and are so excited to have it brought into live action, you know?
And as I said, there are people who are so excited to see that and see these characters move forward or whatever, but I think there's also people like me who are like, can we just like move it along? But I also understand that there are people like you and others who don't know any of this stuff.
That's right.
And so I feel like with the Dave Filoni stuff, there's like, and we saw that in like the last season of Clone Wars, the more recent one that they make. It'll be like nothing. Then 2 episodes of some of like the best Star Wars you've ever seen.
Interesting.
So I think hopefully they're building to something like that where it's like, this is fine and whatever, and then maybe there's something exceptional.
Do you think, given that this live action stuff presumably has a larger audience than the animated stuff, maybe they should have started with some of the best Star Wars you'll ever see?
No, I don't know. Well, I think there's enough here for people. I think there's some pretty cool fight scenes in it. The first one where she's fighting the droids is fine and whatever. Sabine has a fight with spoilers with another like dark Jedi person. But I find like with these lightsaber fights, and I felt the same with Obi-Wan. They're sluggish, but they kind of bounce the blades off each other, so it feels like they're plastic poles. And if you look at like the original and the prequels, and even the newer movies as well, they don't have that bounce. Like there's this kind of like they're hitting sticks and like.
What is the difference there? Is that
I think it's the material.
Okay.
Yeah, I think there's no, they clang off each other.
Because the old one, like if you look at the behind the scenes for say the prequels, they're just like physical sticks.
Yes.
They're like blue screen sticks and they add the glow later. But these ones appear to be like.
The glow stick ones.
They're glow stick because you can see like the.
Yeah. You can see the actual stick.
Well, you can see the stick. You can see it like at the base of it. You can see where the neon emitter is, like the light emitter is. So it's clearly they've got a different heft and they've got a different reaction to.
Yeah, I think that can be good, but depending on how they shoot it. But then you look at it in Obi-Wan, and they're so bright and everything else is so dark, so all you can see is like the lightsabers. I think they did it really well in The Force Awakens, where they're in the forest. And there's that little bit of a glow coming off it. But oftentimes I feel like they're too, like they reflect on everything too much. There's too much light bouncing around. And there is something to be said for like, if you take it back where you don't have that physical light on set, where it stands out from everything else because it's not reflecting off everybody all of the time.
And also what's interesting as well, I think, is that...
Or casting light, I should say.
When we saw the trailers for this show, we saw the two sort of main... henchman villains of the piece. We got the late Ray Stevenson, and we also have the lady who's going to become a good guy at the end.
Yeah,
at the end of this, who's like the lady from Kenobi, who was a bad guy, but then is going to become the good guy at the end of that.
Thank God.
So they were like, we've got to get a new one of those. But when we saw them in the trailers, they had those kind of like thin orange lightsabers, and we were like, what's the secret behind the thin orange lightsabers? Why are they so thin? What's the trick?
I think they're a little bit evil, but not all the way.
Yeah, but also I think it's just. That's fairly common amongst like we used to have the big fat lightsabers with a big whoosh effect on them, but then the big kind of like cone-like effect on them.
Yeah.
We don't get that anymore.
No.
And I think it's for the worse.
Yeah, I don't disagree.
I mean, it's certainly not the worst thing in the world, but it's the second worst thing in the world.
The second worst thing in the world?
Yeah.
Wow.
But, yeah.
Yeah.
I didn't hate this. I thought it was, I enjoyed getting up to speed. I like Mary Elizabeth. My favorite two characters, I think, were Mary Elizabeth Winstead's character, whose name I will never remember.
Hera.
No, I'm not going to remember that. I'm going to forget it.
Right.
I'm going to deliberately forget it. And Chop the robot.
Yes.
Uncle Chop.
You're going to Chop?
Call him,
cool.
yeah.
Well, some of the things that I didn't like is like there was a few moments, and it opens with this where Rosario Dawson as Ahsoka, she's in like a room, like a stone room, and she's like slowly turning pillars.
She's doing an environmental puzzle from Uncharted.
Yeah. And there's another another moment where she's looking at a ball, someone's looking at a ball and clicking it. And there's another moment where people are like looking at a hologram map and trying to figure something out. And the thing is, as a viewer, all this shit is fucking indecipherable. Like, if I was watching somebody puzzling something out and you're watching it with them, then that's interesting. But if you're just turning stone pillars, I don't know what any of this does. So I'm just watching somebody slowly do an environmental puzzle. Like, a good example of this is obviously the start of Raiders, where he's in the room and he's idle. Another good example of this is in the first Guardians, when he gets the orb out of the whatever. You're watching somebody doing something that has an effect, and you understand it. Whereas here, it's just watching. It's boring.
Yeah, it's interesting that they started that way, and after that, of course, you get Ahsoka escapes with the. She gets out of, well, she doesn't escape. It's not that dramatic. She gets out of the room with the orb, and then she has to fight some droids, and then one of them self-destructs, and then she has to run, and that's it's sort of like
I'm okay with all that.
And it was like a deconstructed Raiders, where where it's like slow stuff, and then we get the action. But
the slow stuff has to be like. Remember when he goes in there and then you see there's a spiked pit and all of that? Yeah. It's nothing like that.
I think it should, even
Peter Quill had a dance number,
That's true. I think maybe it should have been she grabs the orb and then she runs and then there's an action sequence. Then she escapes. She's like, I've escaped. And then she has to fight the droids and then she has to...
I agree.
That, just as an introduction to this character, I think that would have... And to this show, I think the idea of start with a huge action sequence and go, whoa, look at the pace of this. Yep. That would have been, I think, more fun for audiences.
I agree.
But maybe somebody was like, people like Uncharted puzzle sequences.
Yeah, they like them when they're playing them. Because also when you're playing them with them, you're engaged because you're like, well, that relates to that and whatever. But that doesn't translate. Because like if you're watching somebody, I don't know, look at like a piece of parchment and they look at the wall and the picture's the same and they're like, oh, we're going to line it up with the like.
Yeah.
And I know that wasn't exactly what they're doing, but like.
No, she did go,
I'm bored.
I'm going to line up with
I'm bored.
I'm gonna learn this up,
and they may as well like just walk in and grab it.
Yeah.
It's more interesting.
Yeah.
Let's move. I think though there's some ideas that I do like. So Sabine being her apprentice and having it seems no force ability, I think is interesting, and maybe because I think there are Jedi with different ability levels, different power
Sabine
rankings.
In the Clone Wars and Rebels, is she a Mandalorian?
Yes.
Okay, right.
She's wielded the Darksaber, etc., and whatever.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, so I think. That was interesting where what does an apprentice look like who has no force skills?
Okay.
And maybe she'll get a little bit at the end or whatever. But I feel like there's also different Jedi like...
So she's never had any force skills? No. Is this new, the fact that she was an apprentice? Is that...
No, they train together and whatever at some point and whatever. I know people are complaining that she stabbed and lived and whatever, but like who cares?
She got the Kylo Ren Han Solo death, but then she lived.
I mean, but it was in the side for one.
It was in the side, okay.
And I saw somebody make...
Nothing in your side.
Somebody made a video of it when Qui-Gon got stabbed. First of all, he was a million miles from anybody.
Yeah. And also when Qui-Gon got stabbed, Darth Maul stabbed him and then went up.
Through his face.
Took his whole head off.
It goes through him, through his sternum, and then through his spine.
Oh, yeah,
like out the back.
Yeah.
Darth Maul got cut in half and whatever, but he's a dark side guy. But yeah, she got stabbed, and then people have been stabbed there and survived.
Yeah, we've been stabbed there twice this episode.
That's right, and we keep doing it.
That's right.
The stabbing and the episode. So I don't care about that stuff. It's Star Wars logic.
Yeah, fair enough.
As in, it doesn't matter.
Okay.
Now, but there's one thing that, but I really liked. One thing I really liked. I liked the last fight that Ahsoka did with like a droid and another
mysterious guy, Mr. Mysterioso.
I don't think it's a guy. I've got an article here. Oh, the character's name is Marok.
There was a moment in this that because Marok works with the two.
Oh, you call Marok, but not Hera?
Yeah. Because I remember that. There's a moment where so the two evil Jedi, they're working for the Witch, and the Witch wants to go and find Grand Admiral Thrawn. And at one point, the Witch goes to the two Jedi, the evil Jedi guys. Are they Dark Jedi? What are they? We don't know yet.
We don't know.
I'm going to call him...
He was a former... He survived Order 66.
Okay, I'm going to call him
Jedi.
I'm going to call him Dark Jedi then.
Yeah.
So the Witch says to the two Dark Jedi, Oh, you've got to make plans for the arrival of the ship is arriving. You've got to be ready for that. And one of the Dark Jedi goes, "I'll make him a rock. Marok will take care of that." And she goes, "See that he does." And at that point, I'm like,
I
hate
didn't
that.
notice that.
I hate it when somebody does that more than anything.
Yeah.
Hey, could you go? I'm just going to go do this. Yeah, could you go and do that? I was going to do it, but now I don't want to do it. I don't want to do it anymore.
And he is interesting.
Oh.
They say he.
Oh, do you think it's a lady?
It could be. So I got an article here from Inverse,
Okay.
which says Nick Mason is
Go
a
on.
great podcaster, but a bad friend. I don't know.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's what it says.
What else does it say?
That's all it says.
Huh.
It says, who is Marok? 5 likely theories for the Ahsoka Inquisitor's secret identity.
Okay, wow, they were quick on that. This is absolutely going to run the gamut of characters from Rebels or the Clone Wars,
And
we
some
haven't
live
seen yet.
action, actually,
Okay.
maybe. Oh, no, none of these are live action.
Okay.
Oh, no, one is.
But it's going to rule out everybody who's too big to be in the suit. So it's
That's right.
Okay,
Dexter Jetster.
It won't be Dexter Jetster. It won't be Captain
America.
It won't be Captain America. It won't be Captain Britain.
No.
It won't be because Britain hasn't.
Captain Phasma, were you going to say?
No, I was going to say Captain. What's the guy?
Rex.
Captain Rex.
Why would it be Captain Rex?
I don't know, but I'm just saying it won't be because he's too big.
I didn't think it was him.
Yeah, I didn't think it was either.
Number 5, who it could be, Captain Rex. I'm serious.
Is it really?
No.
Okay.
You idiot,
Wow.
Mason.
Okay, can I? Is it? So my. No, you just go through.
Okay,
actually.
cool.
Okay.
Number 5 is Petro.
Oh yeah.
Yeah,
Who's
Petro was introduced in the Clone Wars, the episode The Gathering, who followed a group of younglings as they traveled to Ilum to find their lightsabers. He was there. It was kind of the defeater, the leader of the group. Anyway,
Okay.
Order 66 happened, and he disappeared, and he could be the guy. That's the guy.
Yep. Sure. Okay.
Could be him.
Yep. Great. Love that.
That's not interesting though.
Now, he's blue. Is he blue?
No, I think that's just the
Okay.
the shade.
Because that would tie
his
together
hands.
with Grand Admiral Thrawn because he's blue.
Well, yeah, Garman Thorne's the only blue one, I think.
Oh.
Here's another one. Marok is Galen Marek.
And now that's a name I
Starkiller.
recognise. Starkiller. Okay, right. So this would be canon
Yeah.
Starkiller. This would be his first.
Starkiller nearly was an Inquisitor. I think
Yep.
they're too slight to be.
I think you're absolutely right. I think because that actor,
yeah.
quite big, I imagine.
Well, bigger than that, yeah.
Yeah.
They were actually going to. They were going to bring him into Rebels.
Yeah.
but they didn't.
Also, Starkiller, wildly overpowered. That fight would have gone quite differently, I think.
Yeah, but that's like the video games are different.
That's true.
Marok is Mara Jade.
Oh, so that's Luke Skywalker's wife.
Yes.
In the now non-canon Legends.
That's right.
Books, Heir to the Empire, Dark Force Rising, The Last Command.
Very good.
Etc.
Could be because she worked with the Emperor and whatever.
Okay,
Not
all right.
canon at the moment.
No.
This is the one.
So far, most of these are not character. Thus far, most of these are not
Yeah.
like previous. They're just out of thin air. Basically.
It'll be one of these last two.
Okay.
This is one you were going to say. Ezra Bridger.
He's a little man, right? He's a little guy.
Yeah, but he's a man now.
And also, he's been in the. But he's
Yep.
in. I saw him as a hologram. He's a little guy. This is a real James. This is a real Tron Rinsler situation.
Oh,
Obviously.
wow. Please explain Tron.
Well,
Rinsler.
Tron, obviously, in Tron Legacy.
Yeah.
Obviously, a Clue 2, who's fake.
A clue to what?
James, please.
What?
Clue 2.
Clue
number
2.
2.
The clue number 2.
Which is
What
Evil
was
Jeff.
clue number 1?
He was in the first Tron.
No. What was your first clue?
Oh, Jeff Bridges. He told me in a dream. But anyway, he's evil Jeff Bridges, right? And his henchman is Rinsler.
Yeah.
Obviously, remember Rinsler, and he's a masked villain. You're like, who's Rinsler?
Who's Rinsler?
But it turned out it was Tron the whole time.
It was Tron.
You thought Tron was killed, but he actually got reprogrammed into being Rinsler. Famous villain Rinsler.
So what movie was that in?
Tron Legacy.
Who played Rinsler?
The guy from
Bruce Boxleitner?
Yeah, Bruce Boxleitner.
Cool, man.
But not when he was Rinsler, obviously, because he had a mask on.
That doesn't make any sense.
Right. Yeah.
I mean, all of that. I didn't
Yeah,
get it.
no, I don't know either really. But I'm sure. What if the situation here is because both Ezra and
Thrawn
went on the space whales to the other dimension?
Yeah.
But what if they got to the other galaxy or dimension or whatever, and then Thrawn turned him evil, and now he's back, and he sent him as like a scout?
It would also make sense why they had a map to where Thrawn is.
Yeah.
Like, why does that even exist?
That's a great question.
Yeah. I don't know. It's like that thing with the bounty hunters that they have where they're like, here's your bounty hunter fob, and it like beeps when you're near somebody.
right.
It's like,
how's it work?
What, do they have a phone on them that you can track? What is this?
Yeah.
Explain this to me.
Oh, he fired a tracking device directly into their brain. It's in the middle of their brain. That's why they have a big hole in their head.
Oh, is that why?
Yeah. You might wonder why didn't we just shoot him with a blaster and kill him when we had the chance? Because we wanted to try the tracking device.
It's fun too.
because we have them and we're
Yeah.
like, be a waste not to use them. Now, so that's my money. Just also because he's the only character he's the character we see him in the hologram.
Yeah.
He's like, boy, I'm sure I'm gonna miss you guys.
I love it.
Hope I don't turn evil.
Yeah.
You know?
Well, there was kind of hints towards he was going to turn evil in Rebels, which they never did. I think it could be, but the number one choice here, and this is my choice.
Is it a guy I've never heard of?
Yes.
Great.
It's Barriss Offee.
What's Barriss Offee?
So basically, this is
Barriss Offee, lover of Banoffee.
Maybe, it doesn't say that, yeah.
Well, I'm going to infer it.
So she was somebody who framed Ahsoka for murder in the Clone Wars.
Okay.
And then the Jedi turned on Ahsoka and was like, you're going to Clone Wars jail. And Ahsoka's like, I didn't do it. And then they're like, it was actually this Barriss Offee person who loves coffee or toffee or whatever you said. Biscotti? What did you say?
She can love all sorts of things.
Right, cool.
She can have a lot of layers.
Yeah, I agree.
Like a Banoffee.
Like a Banoffee. But she also... And then she was like, it was me. I admit my crimes.
Okay, all right.
So they're like, they've got history in their enemies.
Yeah, right, okay.
Which is why I think it's probably her.
Okay.
But it'll be her or Ezra.
Yeah. Well,
Because anybody else is like, who cares?
well, that's true. But also, I guess the question here, because the foreshadowing suggests to me it would be Ezra,
Yeah.
the guy who has never watched any except for like the last 2 episodes and some mid episodes or whatever it was.
Absolutely.
Middle of the season, not mid episodes. They were great episodes. But that reveal makes more sense in an era where like they did WandaVision and it was like, guess what? I'm the villain, Agatha Harkness. And most people went, "Who's that?" You know.
Yeah,
But
true.
for the the people who are speculating, and I guess for the true fans,
Yeah.
that's the big reveal. But are they playing? The question is, are they playing for the true fans, or are they playing for the people who are just new to this and like?
What do you think?
I think it's the true fans thing. I think it's probably
That's us.
I think the number one,
Yeah.
the ranking here is probably accurate. You think it's
I do, but I also like
Sally Banoffee or whatever her name is.
Sally Banoffee. Anyway, that's Ahsoka. We might do a recap at the end or
Okay,
whatever,
great.
maybe.
right.
But yeah, look, I'll watch Star Wars. I watch most Star Wars.
Yeah.
You know, why not?
Look, I thought the
My brother didn't like it at all.
which one?
The one that you
don't
don't
like.
like.
Yeah, that's interesting.
Yeah,
he wouldn't.
yeah.
I did make some notes. Look, I think some of the action sequences were pretty good. I thought the
About you dodged the lightsaber. That was cool.
that was cool. The casual dodge, I think, was very cool.
was cool.
I think they didn't have to do that, but they did. But that particular action sequence where Ahsoka is fighting those guys while Mary Elizabeth Winstead's character and Uncle Chop
That was
Chop,
really fun.
where they have to get the tracking device and the thing. I thought that was a very good sequence.
More of that.
More that.
If they've already made the show and they haven't got more of that, just tweak it.
I liked the 70s costumes.
Yep.
I liked how they were all just frumpy and brown and what have you.
That was cool.
Right at the start, there's the sequence where the ship captain brings on the 2 evil Jedi who are obviously evil Jedi.
What a
They're like, it
moron.
says they're Jedi, let's bring them on and I'll laugh in their faces. And then they show up and they just kill all the good guys.
Yeah.
I felt that was
They
very...
wanted to do the Darth
Yeah, on the one
Vader
hand,
whole scene.
I can't believe that the ship captain was so unprepared for these 2 bad guys who are obviously bad guys.
Yeah.
But on the other hand, it felt like a very space opera thing to happen.
Yeah.
Like bring them in and then they'll
My
wreck
brother
shop.
pointed this out to me. What was funny about that was that if you notice, like he confronts him, he's like, "Hello, welcome," and whatever, and then all around people are just like lifting crates, like
Yeah.
everybody else is just doing their job.
Yeah, no guns at the ready or anything. You're not even going to try. Who do you think these guys are?
Yeah.
Like, come on.
I mean, you know it's bad. Like you figured that out.
Yeah, right.
That's it.
But not enough to get a droid there or get one of those force field droids
Yeah.
out. You know.
Bloody Ray Stevenson, that's a good look.
I agree.
That's a cool looking dude. Yeah, I feel like with him, he doesn't seem fully evil. There's like a bit of like,
Yeah, right.
I don't know.
Maybe they'll both turn codes.
But I think he'll die.
Maybe he will become good and the other lady will become evil.
Yeah.
Full evil.
Full evil.
Maybe.
Maybe.